Γεια σας και καλώς ήρθατε to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a double chocolate chip banana loaf cake. It's so easy. It all comes together in one bowl without a mixer or anything like that. It's simple to make and it only takes about 40 minutes in the oven. Let's get started. So in a big bowl, go ahead and add 3/4 of a cup of light brown sugar. If you want this a little less sweet, you can go with half a cup of light brown sugar and then just add an extra banana in there. But now I'll add 3 very ripe bananas in here and I'll just mash them up using a fork, and then I'll start just mixing up that sugar with the bananas until everything is mashed up and incorporated. They don't have to be a smooth puree. A few chunks here and there will be fine because we're going to continue mixing the mixture and they'll just melt in later on. And personally, I don't mind a few little chunks of bananas in the banana bread. It makes it just so good. Next, I'll add 2 eggs in here, and you want to make sure that they're at room temperature. And I'm just going to whisk them up in the side of the bowl. And I'll add a stick of butter. This is 4 ounces of butter that's melted. This is unsalted butter. And I'll also add 4 tablespoons of light olive oil. You can add 2 tablespoons or 4 tablespoons. I add a little bit more because it keeps it nice and moist. I'll leave it up to you. And then I'll add 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of instant coffee. Whisk everything all together at this point until it's nice and smooth. And I should have whisked my dry ingredients before I started with the wet, because now I'll have to take out another whisk and that's one more thing to wash. But in this bowl over here, I have 1 cup of flour, half a cup of cocoa powder, and I really like using the Dutch processed cocoa. It's more intense in color and in flavor. I'll also add 1 teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I should have added the baking soda to the wet mixture, and it's better if you do that too. It just incorporates better. But anyway, I'll just whisk this all up and I'll slowly add it to the wet ingredients, whisking until each batch is incorporated. Then I have some chocolate chunks here. They're not chocolate chips. These melt a little bit better, but they're going to stay suspended in the cake. And I have about a couple of tablespoons of the dry ingredients left over. I'm just going to toss the chocolate chips in there. It's going to help them stay suspended in the cake, although they do tend to sink most of the time to the bottom. It'll be fine. Add the chocolate in, and I'm using dark chocolate, but you could definitely use semi-sweet if that's what you like. I'm switching over to a spatula so that way the chips don't get stuck in between the whisk. And once everything is folded in and incorporated, it's time to transfer it to the baking pan. So I'm using a loaf pan. I sprayed it with some baking spray. You can brush it with butter if you want, or olive oil. And then I like to put a little piece of parchment paper in here because it helps with taking out the cake and just makes it a little bit easier. I'll add all of the batter to the pan, spread it all out evenly, and then I like to top it with a layer of chocolate chips. I make sure to cover the entire top of the cake, because if I don't do that, what ends up happening is my kids will start strategically cutting slices off of this that have more chocolate chips in there. So I just make sure the whole top is covered, and now it's ready for the oven. So the oven should be preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. The banana loaf is going to bake on the center rack for 40 minutes. Once a toothpick that's inserted into the center comes out clean or with a few moist crumbs attached, then take it out. The best thing is to not overbake this. If you overbake it, it's going to be a little bit on the dry side. I kind of overbaked mine today because I went about 5 minutes over. Sometimes when you put the toothpick in, if it hits a chocolate chip, it'll come out looking like there's batter on it, when in fact it's just a melted chocolate chip in there. Don't overcook it. Usually in 40 minutes it should be done. You want this to be nice and fudgy, but if you like it a little bit on the drier side, then go ahead, take an extra 5 minutes to bake this up. And keep in mind that ovens do bake differently, so just test it just to make sure that it's done. Once it comes out of the oven, just run a knife around the edges to release it. Let it sit in the loaf pan for about 20 minutes or so, or until it's cool enough to handle. Then go ahead and carefully lift it out. And once it's completely cool, then you can go ahead and slice this, serve this with a cup of coffee, with a cup of milk for the kids. It's just so good. It smells amazing. It looks like chocolate cake. It's nice and moist and soft, and the chocolate chips on top are just going to be so good. Time for the taste test. And mine still has little pieces of banana in there, which I really love because it just makes it a little bit more silky. So good. It's like a mix of chocolate cake and brownie with a little bit of banana flavor. Everyone is going to love this. It stores fresh. If you make an extra loaf, You can slice it up and put it in freezer safe bags and take it out as you need it. It'll keep fresh in the freezer for two to 4 weeks or so. If it lasts that long, mine never lasts. It doesn't even last a day or two. Everybody attacks it. You can print out the recipe on the website, dimitrasdishes.com. Post your recipe request in the comment section down below, and I'll see you back here next time with another delicious recipe. Yes, us.